This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year we are saying thank you to therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories and millions of journeys. Behind each one of them is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take that next step forward. Moments in therapy, like asking the right questions, having a safe place to get emotional or cry, or small wins, they can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. I've been doing therapy for over 2 years and I couldn't recommend it enough. It's helped me so much with relationships with my friends, families, even myself. It's helped me understand myself better, and it's just made for such a better life. It really has. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for live sessions based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This World Mental Health Day, we are collaborating with those therapists who have helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off of their first month at BetterHelp.com/PFF. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PFF.
So the Rams are traveling to Baltimore to take on the Baltimore Ravens in the next game here. And, dude, the Ravens' schedule before the bye week, brutal. Think of what this schedule would have looked like preseason, okay? You start the season at Buffalo. And then you go against the Cleveland Browns, which, the Browns, they were probably always going to beat the Browns, even with the defense obviously playing as well as it is this year, and they won that game. But then they played the Lions, the Chiefs, the Texans, who, the Texans haven't been good this year, but preseason, a lot of people were picking the Texans to potentially win the AFC South and be one of the better teams in the AFC this year if the offensive line was going to hold up. Obviously, it hasn't, but it was the Texans, and now it's the Rams before the bye week. They had Bills, Lions, Chiefs, Texans, Rams. Brutal. Going back and looking at this, the Ravens' goal should have been 4-2. At that point. Now, obviously, they're 1-4, and so they're well behind that, and it's tough because of all of the injuries they have. But man, just before we really dove into this game, I mean, that is a brutal stretch to start the season. Where do you want to start this one? You want to talk about the Ravens, or do you want to talk about the Rams for this matchup?
I think it really does just come down to, can the Ravens, whether it's Lamar Jackson or Cooper Rush, and it's looking more and more like it's going to be Cooper Rush again, they have any chance against this Rams defensive line to block. And now Ronnie Stanley is trending towards maybe being back this week at left tackle. That's a huge development, but this Ravens offensive line has to be better. You spotlight Jared Verse and this Rams defensive line. They've been unbelievable. They really have taken a step up from last year. Verse is obviously great. Byron Young's been fantastic. Kobe Turner's great. Poona Ford on the inside has been everything they could possibly ask for. Their defensive line, they're fourth in run defense grade and lead the league in run stops. They're fifth in pass rush grade and fourth in pass rush win rate. It's not just that they do one or the other well. They do everything well on every down. It's one of the elite defensive lines in football. We saw against one of the best D lines, especially edge pairings last week in Houston, that they just dominated the game. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. You've got an even more loaded group, especially on the inside with this Rams defensive line. So even if Lamar Jackson were to play, and it looks like he's not going to, the Ravens have serious problems in the trenches in this game if their offensive line doesn't start playing better. Again, getting Stanley back would help, but I don't know if that's enough against one of the most unblockable teams in the league.
Yeah, the Rams are pretty ferocious on both sides of the trenches, and I did not realize this before we did the preview, but just talking about the Rams offense, Dalton, they have the #1 run blocking grade in the NFL through 5 weeks. The Los Angeles Rams do at an 80.7 offensive line run blocking grade. That's first in the NFL. Now, the contrast is they haven't been very good in pass protection. 46.7 pass blocking grade. That is a stark contrast from what they are running the football. That's 29th in the NFL. There's 66 total pressures that they've given up. That's 24th. 32.2 pressure percentage, that's 25th. So they're in the bottom half and in the 20s, bottom 10 in all of those categories when it comes to pass blocking. The issue is I don't think the Ravens are going to test them there because I don't think they're going to have to. The Ravens have been one of the worst run defense teams in the NFL through 5 weeks of the season. And with as good of a run blocking team as the Rams are, they're just going to hand the ball off. I don't even know how much Matthew Stafford has to do in this game. When it's called upon, I think that he'll be reliable because Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, that combination there has been fantastic for them. But to be honest with you, like, I just think the Rams are going to have their way with the Ravens in this game. Nothing that the Ravens have done yet tells me that they're going to be able to hang in this game. And if the Rams are just going to continue to run and run and run, and if Cooper Rush makes any mistakes at all whatsoever, they're just going to lean into that more and more. Then they've had so much success with that throughout this season. So we talked about strength on strength with the Patriots and Saints matchup in a couple of ways. This feels like strength on weakness in a major way that favors the Los Angeles Rams in this game. I have the Rams winning this one big. I have them winning 31-13. Like, I do not have faith in what the Ravens have out there. Even if the guys that were hurt are going to be playing, like, what's their percentage? They 70% healthy, 80% healthy. They're just trying to get out there to help the team because of how bad the product's been over the last couple of weeks. You talked about how good this Rams defensive front is. Is that going to give Derrick Henry any daylight at all whatsoever? Because it's not like Henry's been there to save the day for them over the last couple of weeks either. So it's just hard to have faith in this Ravens team right now, especially against one of the top 8, if not top 5 teams in the NFL in the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, when I first wrote down a score of 27-17, I was kind of hedging just in case Lamar Jackson were to play, but it could absolutely be wider than that. I've got the Rams as well, and there's a couple points to make about that. One, you mentioned the pass rush for the Ravens. Think about it this way. Their 2 leaders in pressures, Odafe Owe and Nnamdi Madubuike. One's out for the season, and one just got traded to the Chargers. So they don't even have really – they have even less pass rush today than they did, say, a week or two ago, right? And you mentioned Derrick Henry and the run game trying to get that going, but the Rams' additions of Poona Ford and Nate Landman at linebacker too, they've made the run defense a lot better than it was last year. Last year, they really tilted towards the pass rush, and you could get them a little bit in run defense. Now, this front seven is as complete as any in the NFL right now with those additions. So I'm with you. The Ravens big, I think, in this game, especially with Lamar still out.
Yeah, and the chat's talking about this too. Like, even if the Rams have to get the passing game involved, I mean, who covers Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams? Well, nobody's really been able to so far this season, and it's hard to think that the Ravens are going to be able to if they're not able to generate a pass rush. And even if they are able to generate a pass rush, I just mentioned the pass rush numbers and how inefficient the pass blocking has been for the Rams, and they've still gone off. Matthew Stafford is still one of the top 3 highest graded quarterbacks that we have in the league so far this season. So people have been getting pressure on Matthew Stafford, and it hasn't been mattering. So it's hard to find a way that the Ravens win this football game outside of Derrick Henry having like a 200-yard rushing game. Like, outside of that, it's just really hard for me to think that they're going to score more than the Rams are, even with them hosting this one.